Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another live stream. Today we're going to be talking about renting in Mexico, real estate in Mexico. Again, any questions you might have, please feel free to ask them. But we're going to be just concentrating on this topic for today. Hey guys, how's it going? As we as we get into it, as you guys know, every single Thursday we like to get together, do our live streams, and have a different topic each and every week. Usually a topic that is going to be useful to you guys in one shape, form, or another. So since recently, we've been publishing more real estate videos. More rental videos, rental properties that you guys have been asking for. Well, I figured let's just go on ahead and tackle the subject today and talk about it in depth a little bit more, since there's one thing. There's certain things and limitations I can say in a video because of the time constraints and stuff like that. And here in a live stream, well, I can just rant about whatever. But we're gonna just get into it because the reality is that for a lot of people, when they're looking into relocating to another country, but in this case relocating out here to Mexico, well, one of the things that you need is a home, correct? You need, a roof over your head. And a lot of people assume that it is exactly the same as it is in the USA or Canada. And it's not. There are some similarities, but the reality is that it's very different. And many people find out that it's a lot more accessible than what you might find back home. And so, well, this is one of the things that helps many people out there make that decision final as to moving to Mexico or not, because of the accessibility. Affordability is another thing. But again, the reality is that it's a lot easier, to get a rental here than it is in the USA these days. In the USA, they ask for all kinds of things, such as like a credit report and a background check, and like a million things. So many things, and they don't even matter when it pertains to really renting a place. Really, what should matter is, do you have the money? Do you have a deposit? That's about it. Now, I understand, I get it that, there's reasons as to why, there's all these laws and regulations and stuff, but out here in Mexico, it's not the same. It's a little different. So with that said, for most people out there, you don't need much, when it comes to, providing any kind of information for renting a place. No Mexican. I mean, by the way, I don't want to say no Mexican, because I'm sure that there are Mexicans out there that do this, or no landlord. But what I was going to say is that, no landlord is really going to be asking you for anything like a credit check, or asking you for, background check, or asking you for, all kinds of checks. All right. The reality is that what they ask for more than anything else is just a secondary deposit, which for a lot of people, they might, seem excessive. Why do they ask for so many deposits? Why do you have to sign a special contract and pay a lawyer and yada, yada, yada? And that's because that is the way that they protect themselves out here, because of the lack of rules and regulations and laws and so on and so forth. So they have to, figure out another way to protect themselves, not just the landlords, but also the tenants, so there's other ways to deal with these things out here. So we have, by the way, shout out to everyone in the chat. Shout out to Leo, Joseph HQ, or J, I don't know, hopefully it's Joseph, JS, whatever. Miss Cooper, how's it going? We got Super Moonbeams. Shout out to Super Moonbeams. Super Moonbeams says, I find renting in Mexico as a foreigner, you are paying 3 times the rent just to move in with lawyer fees. They haven't had to verify my income. Yeah, so again, that's another thing. They're not verifying income. They're not verifying anything. Now, what you're saying there is basically what I just finished, talking about, but we're going to go more in depth, because a lot of people wonder, like, well, why is it that I got to leave so many deposits? The reality is that all Mexicans have to leave so many deposits. Everybody does. You're not immune. And also, it depends on what you're renting and where you're renting. I know plenty of people that live, close to the U.S.-Mexico border, and many of those places that the people rent, it's just month to month. They don't even ask for a deposit. Some just ask for one deposit. No lawyer fees, no nothing. It's just like a month-to-month type of thing, almost like a hotel. All right. So that's in one part of the country. In another part of the country, like out here in the Yucatan, well, they're more strict. Okay. But again, the strictness comes with everybody. Okay. It's not just foreigners, it's everybody. So if a Mexican wants to move, to a new place, what they have to provide, okay, is that they got to provide first month's rent. They got to provide a deposit. They got to provide this other thing called an aval. Okay, and aval is AVAL, like availability. What aval? Okay, but nobody has an aval. What is an aval? An aval is basically like a cosigner. So how co-signing is in the USA. Similar here. Most people don't want to be a co-signer, and it's very difficult. Okay, to get a co-signer, because in order to do the co-signing, it's you simply have to put your house up. So the co-signer is putting their house as collateral. So it's very difficult to get a cosigner, okay, or an aval. So since most people cannot find an aval, then they have to pay another deposit. And this is how they protect themselves. Because like I said, at the end of the day, they don't know who the tenant is. We know someone personally that has a rental, okay, and they were renting to somebody, and long story short, the people that were renting the place, they stole everything in the home. All right, and now they have to go through insurance and yada yada yada, to get to be made whole. So you're gonna, it's things are different out here. But with that said, this is why they have the whole second deposit thing. This is why they do the the aval, because again, it's for things like that. Now the lawyer fees is because, again, going back to how Mexico works, everything has a price. Everything you had to pay for. There's no government to subsidize this or that or whatever it is, and it's just a different world. So out here, in order to have a contract, actually be valid, you need an actual lawyer to, fill out the contract. In the US, we are used to, basically, if you're going to have a deal with somebody, you can have a contract written in crayon, and that's acceptable in court in the USA, not here. So out here, you need an actual lawyer to, write up a contract and get a notary. Okay, that's another person that has to be paid in order to make it legally binding. Okay, so in order for that to happen, you have to pay these individuals, and there's a fee for that. And some people want to cut corners, not pay the fee, and then later on they get screwed. I don't know what else to say. And so, again, the contract is to protect not just you, but to protect the landlord. Now, again, if you don't speak Spanish, if you have trouble with contracts, then you probably have to pay a little more in order to make it more accessible to you. All right. But this is, these are things that you have to look into, because this is why you don't have to have a credit check. This is why you don't have a background check. This is why they don't check your income. This is what, you understand what I'm saying? So it's a give and take. You can't have it both ways. And so, the reality is that, yeah, if you're going to rent a small, home, or if you're going to have a small rent, well, this is pretty easy to come up with all that money. But again, if all of a sudden you're going to rent a place that might cost you, like my place, think about it. I rented it, my rent for my home is $700. So in order to move in, I needed $700 plus the $700 deposit plus another $700 deposit. Okay, so right off, that's $2,100 plus the lawyer fees. So all in all, in order to move into here, I needed $2,500, give or take, just to move in. Okay, and pretty soon I've already talked to the landlord. I got to renew my contract, and I got to pay the lawyer to renew the contract. It's as simple as that. And so because of that, I asked the landlord, hey, can I sign for 2 years? You have the option. Some people sign for 3, some people more. And when they do that, well, you don't have to pay the lawyer fees every year. You only pay it every time you do the contract. So I signed, I'm going to sign for 2 years so I can avoid having to pay an extra lawyer fee. But when I'm signing that contract, all I'm doing is just continuing my monthly payment. I don't need to leave any more deposits. All I have to do is pay the lawyer. And by the way, you know what I mean? You don't always, again, it's up to you, but you don't have to use the lawyer, okay, that they provide for you. You can get a lawyer. You can pay someone out of pocket, okay? You know, you can find someone yourself to draft the thing. Maybe you can find somebody cheaper or someone that you trust more. Okay, so you got to also look into that, because again, in my case, I let them use the lawyer. Why? Because my good friend José Novelo, friend of the show, all right, he's, you know, I just asked him, hey bro, can you do me a favor? You know, just like he asked me for favors. I'm like, hey, can you look over my contract real quick? Yeah, bro, no problem. Now, of course, you know, for you guys, you know, Jose can also look over your contract, and he can also suggest, hey, maybe this, you know, you shouldn't sign this, or maybe you should tell them to change this and do this. You know, he can do that for you for a fee like anybody else. You follow me? So that's the thing. At the end of the day, it is a little bit different out here. Okay. And it's just like everything else. So in the USA, it's all about credit. And this is why they do all these checks on you. Okay. Whether or not you can afford it, they don't care. It's more about, again, do you have the credit, you know, that says that you can afford it? Now, in Mexico, they don't give a crap about your credit. It's more about, hey, do you have the cash to pay for it now? And since we don't know who you are and we can't trust you, we're going to ask for extra deposits, just in case. Because, hey, just in case anything happens, we don't have to worry. All right? We got enough money to cover whatever damages. Okay? And so on and so forth. So, you know, that's the thing. And so you got to like look into that. Oh, I'm sorry. Is something wrong with the microphone? Let me know. I apologize. I just read somebody left a comment saying that there's a huge reverb or something. Anyways, let me know so I can fix that. My apologies there. So that's the thing. You know what I mean? That's something you got to look into. Now, you know, obviously there's all kinds of rentals out there, different leases, you know, different situations. If you're going to sign a 6-month rental, you're probably not going to be signing it with a lawyer, since it's like a temporary thing. You know, you probably don't need to leave 2 deposits. Okay? Things like that. If you're renting an apartment, you know, in certain cities, certain areas, again, you probably just need first month's rent and you're good to go. Okay, thank you. Thank you. All right, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Thank you for the... Anyway, so that's the thing, guys. You know what I mean? Like, it's all gonna depend. Now, I have heard that if you want to rent in certain cities, like maybe Mexico City or Guadalajara, and you want to rent like a really expensive penthouse, really expensive home, or something like that, yeah, they might do a little bit more of a check on you. And by the way, you know what I mean? These are easy, you know, again, as a foreigner, all right, it's the people that are asking for whatever they're asking for, they are easy to work with, okay? Because it's, again, we're in a different country. In the USA, they're very rigid with what they're looking for. And if you don't have exactly that, then you're not going to be able to get it. But when it comes to Mexico, everybody has flexibility, all right? And at the end of the day, you know what I mean? If, you know, a lot of times when you find a rental, an expensive rental here in certain cities in Mexico, and they're asking for, you know, certain things like a credit check or whatever, that really more pertains to the Mexican locals. Again, foreigners, once you let them know you're a foreigner, you can always get around that with most likely an extra deposit. So that's the thing, you know, out here, it's a different scenario, and you got to understand that you're also a foreigner. You're an immigrant. And because you're a foreigner and an immigrant, a lot of people assume that you're going to get the gringo price and assume that things are going to be more expensive and so on and so forth, or they're going to take advantage of you. But the reality is, believe it or not, I know it's a hard pill to swallow, you know, it's not about, you know, there's a gringo price or they're going to take advantage of you. It's more like you have an advantage over the locals, because they assume, okay, right off the bat, that you will most likely be able to not just pay the rent, but pay the rent on time and not have any issues when it pertains to that. So, you know, the reality is that foreigners, you know, again, I speak mostly to, you know, European, Canadians, and Americans, Australians, whatever, you know, they're looked at favorably, okay? as a tenant, as someone to rent to over, a Mexican local. Unfortunately, that's just the reality of it. Okay, they will most likely want to rent to you first over a local. All right, because again, just of the same what's the word I'm looking for? The biases that they have. They assume that you're going to be a good tenant, and they assume that the Mexican might not be a good tenant. It's just, hey, it's just the reality of it. Whether it's true or not, again, I've seen all kinds of stories out here. Okay, so I'm not, I know that it can go both ways. All right, but I'm just letting you know how it is. And a lot of people out there also complain, oh, why is it so expensive? Again, this is the price for everybody. Again, if you're looking at the ad in Spanish, if everything's in Spanish, okay, and it's being catered to locals, that's the price. You know what I mean? Now, if you're gonna find a rental or you're gonna find a property for sale in English, it's gonna be higher in price. Now, again, going to the videos that I do personally on my channel, this is why. Okay, not only do we provide the price in Mexican pesos, but I provide the link directly to the property. Okay, to the website, to the people selling the property. Okay, and it's all in Spanish. It's not catered to you. It's catered to the Mexicans. And the reality is that, again, if you think that prices are going up in the USA, or in fact, not think, at this point, we all know prices are going up in the USA, Canada, and all over the world. What makes you think that they're not going up here? Okay, there is also inflation here. Okay, there is also, similar situations out here when it comes to, what you're dealing with in the USA or Canada, whatever, when it comes to the prices and things like that, right? But the thing is that all these countries, again, are in different economic scenarios and situations. So as prices are going up here, well, guess what? So are salaries, and more people can afford them. And this is why you see nicer homes, you see more homes, you see nice cars, you see all that, because again, people can afford them. Okay, I'm not saying that everybody can afford them. I'm not saying that everyone is booming in the economy, but a lot of the economy, a lot of the people are taking full advantage of this boom in Mexico. And so again, just going back to inflation on its own, inflation has also hit Mexico like it's hit every part of the world. So if you're sitting there complaining about the high prices, well, guess what? So is everybody else. Okay, so are the Mexicans, and so is everybody else. All right, and it just goes across the board. Now the thing is that when you're out here, it's a lot easier for you to assimilate to the price change, because again, I rent a 3-bedroom home for $700. The same home in the USA is going to cost me a minimum of $3,000 something dollars. Okay, maybe $2,800 depending on where I'm living, but somewhere in the $3,000 range. Okay, so these are the things that you have to consider. Sure, maybe this home, 5 years ago, okay, that I'm renting for $700 might have gone for $500. Okay, and the exchange rate might have been more in my favor. Okay, but things change, and this is just a reality that everybody has to deal with. Okay, so I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. You know what I mean? Like, there is gringo pricing out there, but again, it's the gringo pricing is pretty obvious, because again, if everything is in English, they're speaking to you in English, the whole thing is just straight up in English, and it's only catering to expats, not Mexicans. Again, it's pretty obvious most of the time, all right, when you're dealing with somebody or something. Again, if they're dealing with only foreigners, then yeah, you're most likely going to get a higher price. But if you go somewhere that deals with everybody, mainly deals with Mexicans, oh, then that's where you're going to find the price. If that price is still too high, then you have to take all those other things into consideration. Like I said, inflation, all right? And like I've had to deal with it too. My prices have gone up, all across the board, as well in the years that I've been living here. But I've also been able to make more money in the years that I've been in here. So I've been able to actually grow with the economy and grow with the prices. If I were on a fixed income, I'd probably be in a lot more trouble, as opposed to, me having the ability to continuously, be able to make more money. Why? Because I'm younger and I can work, and so on and so forth. So, you got to take all these things into consideration. All right. And, Again, you know what I mean? Like, so when it comes to renting, again, they're not asking, just to reiterate everything I was saying earlier. When it comes to renting in Mexico, they are not going to ask you for a credit check. They're not going to be asking you for a background check. They're not asking you for proof of income. They're not asking you for any of this stuff. The only thing they're asking for is the cash, meaning, can you afford to rent this place? So they're going to be asking you, obviously, for the first month rent. Okay, most likely in many places they'll ask you for a deposit. Okay, and 50 or 60 or 70% of the cases they'll ask you for a second deposit, which is an aval. Again, just to go back into what an aval is simply a cosigner. So since most people, not just foreigners, but most Mexicans cannot get a cosigner, they also have to pay a second deposit for the same property. So again, 1 month's rent, 2 deposits, give or take, again, 1 or 2. And the lawyer fee, which again, the lawyer fee is for the contract, for the notary, to make sure, again, all parties are protected, which again, in some cases you can go without, which is not recommended. Okay, Jose, everybody highly recommends you sign that contract. You got to bite the bullet and you got to pay the fee and whatever. And if the fee's too high, find yourself a cheaper or more affordable lawyer that can work with your budget, all right? But long story short, guys, that's all you need. I mean, the only other thing they're going to ask for, obviously, again, sorry, I don't want to jump over this, but the only other thing they're going to ask you besides the money is a form of ID. Now, for most of you guys, the only form of ID that we have is a passport, your U.S. passport, okay? So, U.S. passport or your residency card, okay? That's it. They might ask you for your tourist permit, assuming that you're here on your tourist permit, okay? But that's it. Like I said, just your passport, you're good to go, or your residency card, or both, whatever, who cares? But that's it. That's all they're really asking for. You know what I mean? And so it's very different. It's not like in the U.S. or Canada where they ask for all kinds of things. It's more about, do you have the money or not? and that's about it. Now, but anyway, so that's the rentals. You know what I mean? Toy Head Ventura says, do Mexican seniors get better prices on rentals? No, they don't. I mean, do seniors get a senior discount in the USA? Unless they're signing up for Section 8 or unless they're signing up for some sort of low-income program in the USA, then no, they also don't get a discount. So same here. There is no Section 8, all right? There is no such programs out here, okay? So again, you got to remember, guys, if you're coming to Mexico, you have to be able to take care of yourself. Mexico's not going to be able to take care of you, okay? Mexico's not going to give you any kind of program, no food stamps, no Section 8, none of that stuff. I have to say this because people do ask me this, okay? There's nothing you can sign up for, all right? Period, end of story. If you want to sign up for programs and, get help from the government, then I would suggest you stay in the USA, all right? And let me read some comments here. Toyhead says, oh, we need more bike rides. Like we need more cowbell. Yeah, actually I got the bike out of order right now. I got to get it fixed. I just haven't had the time. I've already set up an appointment with my homie, Dave. You guys know him as Santa Claus out there. Anyways, and he's going to see, hopefully he can help me next week. We can take it to a bike shop or two and get it fixed because it has a few problems. I'm not one for maintenance. I'm more of just ride it into the ground. So I got to get my bike back in order before I can make more videos. So my apologies for that. In the meantime, I got more videos on deck and, I can still walk. All right. I still got my Chevrolet legs. We're just going to go in slow motion instead of, it's funny. Some people don't like my walking videos because they're too slow. Some people don't like my bike videos because they're too fast. Can't please everybody. Anywho's. I'm reading a few comments real quick, all right? So again, if you have any questions, let me know. Kelly says, we're so excited to move to Merida from Ontario this fall, and we will be looking for a home to rent. Are there certain areas with more availability? I mean, the whole city is available, really. That's the true reality of it. We've talked about it before, and the whole city is available. It's more about your budget, you know what I mean, and where you want to live. Again, the whole time I've been living here, I've always lived around El Centro. I prefer to live around El Centro, not in El Centro, but around El Centro. And you can find affordable homes like mine, or even more affordable, or you can find more expensive homes with more bells and whistles or colonial look or whatever it is. And the thing is that like the availability is available everywhere. Again, it's more affordable going down south. But the whole city is available, man. I'm telling you, like it's booming. All right. There's a lot of desire to be out here, meaning there's a lot of Mexicans moving out here, a lot of foreigners moving out here. There's, a lot of people moving out here, and there's a lot of building, there's a lot of home building, going all across the board. Also, a lot of people are selling their properties, seeing the boom, and trying to cash in on that. And the reason that happens is because, again, in Mexico, most Mexicans don't have a 401k. They don't have, a pension. They don't got things like that. So how they save their money is that as the years have gone on, they buy properties. And so there are many Mexicans out there that have multiple properties, and some of them have been inherited through family, whatever. And so there's a huge, amount of properties for sale of all kinds, old properties, new properties, undeveloped, developed, everything you can imagine, brand new. So that's the thing, Like it's a great question, but the reality is that it's extremely available. And the thing is that usually when you are in a market with so much availability, you would notice, hey, the prices should be lower. But the reality is that there's so much demand, that, well, yeah, it is what it is. So you are going to find properties for rent and for sale at affordable, really affordable prices. And a lot of times it's people that are just trying to cash in quickly. They want to, have a tenant in there, whatever it is. So you'll be able to find, those hidden gems and those needles in the haystack. But the reality is that since there's so much interest from, again, not just other Mexicans, but people from all over the world these days, that want to purchase out here. Yeah, That's why you're going to find, again, all kinds of prices. You're going to find on the same block, prices that are, you'll find a home that's $2-3 million, and then right down the block that, a home very similar could be 5, 6, 10 million pesos. Sorry, I don't mean to say dollars, I mean pesos. Okay. So like I said, you might find a home that's, $150,000, and on the same block, you'll find that a home or a property that's $500,000. And it's just because, again, there's no real regulation per se, when it comes to pricing and this and that. And, and so people are, obviously taking advantage of that because, there's money to be, there are Mexicans out there that have money that are coming from, Guadalajara, Mexico City, and other places that they just sold their home there, for an extravagant amount of money. And so they're bringing it down here, and you see it everywhere. So, that's just the reality of it. It's more about, you got to figure out what neighborhood you want to live in, what area you want to live in, number one. And then also finding a place that meets, the things that you're looking for within your budget. Because that's how we found this place. This place was very difficult to find. This is the place that I'm living in right now was a needle in a haystack to find. Basically it was Christian's mission every single day to scour the internet, scour Facebook to find, homes. And I remember vividly when she found this home, they had just published this home on Facebook, like within a few hours. So she saw it immediately. We called them. It was close enough. We came down. I had José Novelo, draft me a quick, kind of receipt, type of thing. And that's it. I had the cash in hand. We went and we got it. And the house was still not ready. The house was, still needed like a month or two to be 100% ready, but we didn't care. We wanted the home. We found it after many months of looking for the home. So that's the thing too. You got to take that into consideration since there's so much properties out there for rent and for sale that you're going to have to sift through it. Now, again, you don't have to do this. You can find somebody to help you do this like Alejandra. Like, again, she's been helping a lot of you guys recently. Let's just go to my website real quick, so again, you can go to my website, and on my website, you can just go right here where it says living in Merida, useful resources right there. Okay. Click there. And right off the bat, for rentals, you got you got Alejandra that can help you out with everything. Again, she speaks English and Spanish, so she can help you find what you're looking for, where you're looking for, in your budget. She can help translate, help everything, help get everything all done. And then on top of that, if you need extra, help, let's say you want to purchase a home or you need help with the contract or whatever it is. Again, we all work together. Okay, so again, either Alejandra will contact Jose to, help you with whatever, or you can contact Jose Novelo on your own, and so on and so forth. But again, we got a whole team of, again, professionals here to help you get it all done, assuming, you need help to get it done. Because again, I try to give you guys all the information and all the, all the knowledge that you need so you can do it all yourself, or at the very least know what to look for when you do hire a professional, so that just in case, they're doing the right job. Because again, I know a lot of viewers watch my videos and you guys are not all moving to Mérida. A lot of you guys are moving to other parts of Mexico. So this is why I provide all this information, because again, you don't know who you're going to hire on the other side of the pond, wherever you're going to land. So, that's why you need all this information. And by the way, Alejandra is and Jose, okay, but by Alejandra especially, she's working already like on kind of setting up a network, of people. So just in case, you're looking into moving somewhere else, say you're moving to Guadalajara, or, what is it, Lake Chapala, whatever, right? You contact her as well, because you never know. She might have a contact out there that she can just put you in contact with. Okay, so FYI, all right? Obviously free of charge, Just say, hey, I'm looking into moving to this area. Do you know anyone out there? All right? So just understand, Like at the end of the day, like you can do a lot of this stuff on your own, especially if you speak Spanish. You can definitely do a lot of this on your own, like I did. But if you don't, then again, we got a whole team of people to help everyone out. Again, no viewer left behind. All right, let's get back to the walking video. All right, enough shameless. Oh, by the way, shameless. Since I'm in the middle of shamelessly plugging me, and what I do, I forgot to mention. So, guys, I've been working very hard the last couple days on bringing some new merchandise for the store. I know a lot of you guys, want to help support the show, and you want to buy T-shirts. By the way, the link is right above. Okay, you see all the way up there, merch store. You see, we're right there, merch store. All right, all the way at the top. So anyways, we got some new T-shirts. I made this T-shirt that you guys, see me wear on the show all the time. All right, we got it in different colors in case you're interested. I also made this brand new one. This looks cool. I just made it. So it's the Mayan alphabet. So in case, you're interested in that, you got the whole Mayan alphabet there. That you guys can, wear it on a T-shirt. You got the bicycle, the one that you see me wear all the time, same as my doodling and other shirts. Okay, so again, this is a great way you guys can help support the show by just buying a T-shirt and getting some merch. All right, so anyways, all right, back to the show. My apologies, I had to do the shameless plug because I just made these T-shirts and I wanted to share it with you guys. All right, so hopefully you guys enjoy those. All right, so by the way, if you guys have any questions, let me know. All right, and I will answer them for you to the best of my ability, not just about rentals, but real estate and everything. Oh, that's a great question. Kelly asked, can you negotiate the price that is listed? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Now, will the negotiation work every time? Probably not. You know what I mean? But you can definitely negotiate. That's something that a lot of people don't know of, okay? Because when it comes to rentals, and especially if you're buying a home, I mean, come on, if you're buying a home, there's a lot more room to negotiate, okay? Just like anything else, like if you're buying a car, right? But with rentals, there is some room for negotiation. Again, it just depends on the property and the price that is already listed and so on and so forth. If you assume that property might be a little bit too high of a price, yeah, for sure, you can most likely negotiate. And you already know, if you are even asking that question, you already know how to negotiate. Meaning, hey, I noticed that this fan isn't as good as this fan, or hey, I noticed there's a little scrub on the wall. Hey, you know what I mean? You gotta find reasons to to lower the price, okay? But that's not always the case, okay? If you're renting a place, okay, that is going for like 8,000 pesos, okay, and it looks like a place that is 8,000 pesos, there's not really much room to negotiate, okay? And so on and so forth. And the negotiation also, you got to get creative with the negotiation, meaning the negotiation, which, by the way, this is something very important. The negotiation many times is not about the rent, okay, per se, you know, lowering the price of the rent. No, okay? Instead, I'll give you a prime example. So the last place that we were renting, you know, I made the stupid decision, not the decision, I'm sorry, the stupid move, I guess, you know, of signing a contract, okay, not knowing my rights out here. So what did I sign with the other home? Well, I signed that I was responsible for everything in the house. Everything in the house. Okay? And I didn't know. I thought that that's how it was in Mexico. Little to find out that no, that's not how it was in Mexico. I mean, again, in Mexico, you can do whatever you want, similar to the USA. You know, you can put anything in the contract, okay? So this is what people were doing out here and putting in contracts. So obviously that came to bite me in the butt later on when I was having problems with the house. Because, you know, I understand that there are certain things that I got to fix and I got to make sure to maintain from wear and tear from being in the house. But if all of a sudden I'm having electrical issues with the whole house or plumbing issues with the plumbing, or you know, that's not my problem. That's the landlord, okay? And so that's what I'm trying to get at. So you gotta, you know, make sure that you're gonna read the contracts, get somebody to read it for you, and let you know what's in there and whether or not you are gonna accept it or negotiate. So, for example, when we were gonna sign with this house, well, sure enough, they had the same clause in the contract. But hey, you know, very quickly, very simply, very cordially, very professionally, I let them know, hey, look, I've been living here for many years. The reason we want to rent here is because we're having issues with the old house because of because of this. So I got the cash right now in hand, you know, to rent the place. But the only thing I need is we need to fix this, you know, meaning that, of course, I am going to be I'm going to be responsible for fixing the wear and tear, you know, maintaining the house, yada, 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 you know, the usual. But I'm not going to be, you know, I cannot be, you know what I mean, responsible for this, and that. And they're like, oh, yes, of course, no problem. You know, we apologize. It's just that was a clause. You know, that's what the lawyer sent us and this and that. No problem. You know, we will fix that. That is totally understandable. You know, we have to be responsible for this and you have to be responsible for that. Great. We're both in agreement. Wonderful. Here's a handshake. Get the contract ready. No problem. They got the contract ready. I sent it to Jose. Jose said green light. No problem. We signed. We're good to go. And it's been amazing. And granted, this is a brand new home. We just moved in here. And so there has been issues from a brand new home. And they've, you know, again, we got no problems as of now. But again, they've been on top of everything. So it's been an amazing ride this time around, simply because I negotiated that clause into the contract. I'm not signing unless this is a thing. And since they saw me, even though I spoke Spanish and yada, 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 they know. They had my American passport. So they already, again, what I was saying earlier, that we have an advantage, not a disadvantage out here. So immediately they're like, we don't know this guy. We like him already. Again, not only does he have the cash in hand, but he has a U.S. passport. So we know we good. All right. And he's married to a local. Forget about it. So the negotiation was extremely easy for me. All right. And it was no problem. And I have an amazing relationship with them. All right. As opposed to the relationship I had with the other landlords that were looking at me with dollar signs, that were looking at me to take advantage of me, that, again, you know, were giving off a different image. And just because I trusted them, because, you know, they were an older couple, you know, once I signed, the horns came out, and I'm like, oh boy, you know, thank God that I'm also, you know, a heavy hitter, you know, to say the least, okay? And my background, where I come from, and, you know, I'm a Cuban. I speak, you know, when I get mad in Spanish, it's no bueno. So long story short, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, we had our issues, but, you know, at the end of the day, we couldn't wait to get out of that home, especially in the last year or so. And some of you guys that have been following the channel long enough know the issues that I was dealing with all the time. So, and that's the thing, you know what I mean? So, you know, that's the thing, you know, at the end of the day, you guys have to, like, kind of look into these things, you know what I mean? And, you know, when it comes to negotiation, it's not just straightforward, you know, thinking, oh, I'm going to negotiate the price. Yeah, that's one thing you can negotiate, again, depending on what you're renting or buying. Okay, so that's the thing. You got to look into all these things as well. But yeah, obviously there's gonna be a lot more wiggle room, if you're gonna be when you're buying something. But yeah, anyways. So, but again, also don't be lowballing, for a rental. You know what I mean? If someone's renting it for 12,000, and then you say 6,000, they're gonna tell you to f off, okay? To say to say it lightly, okay? Um. Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad that you like the walking videos, Pirelli. Um. Inheriting property, que envidia. I live in a tent and plant mango tree. Yeah, so a lot of people, again, not everybody, man. I mean, this is a true. I mean, I found out, you know what I mean? Like, unfortunately, my wife was someone that did not inherit a home. But there are a lot of people that do get to inherit a home. In fact, the running joke out here, again, as you know, Mexicans have many children. They don't have a home for all the kids, right? So the kids are always fighting amongst themselves for the home or the homes, as they get dispersed in the will or whatever it is. But yeah, this is a common thing out here. In fact, some people, let's say they might be an only child, and they might have inherited a home or two. If they get advantage of that. Look, I'll give you an example. Sometimes Mexicans, Mexican couples, they'll get together, they'll get married, right? And the wife has a home that she's going to inherit or already inherited, and the husband also has a home that they have inherited or going to inherit. So all of a sudden, as soon as they get married, they already have two homes. They can choose to live in one of them, rent the other one, okay? Or even buy their own home, use those as collateral, right? And rent those two homes, or sell one, or sell both. Okay, so that's the thing, guys. You know what I mean? Like, a lot of Mexicans have that. Not all of them, you know that. I've shown you, many videos of people living in shacks, living in a tent in the middle of the jungle, all right? Asking for, and we're out there helping them, okay? So, there's, there's a lot of people in Mexico, and there's a lot of different financial situations. But look, long story short, even some of the poorest Mexicans, just poor working class normal Mexicans can afford to at least have one house. So, that's just the reality of it. So it's a different housing situation out here as well. And even though rent prices are high or things like that, again, a lot of Mexicans are not used to even paying rent. And when it comes to, like, let's say even buying a property, this is why Mexicans can have multiple properties, because let's say that you got 3 properties, and you got to pay your property taxes, which is called predial out here, the pre-deal, predial. Anyways, and you got to pay your property taxes. What are you paying in the property taxes? You know what I mean? I've already talked to you guys about that before. You know what I mean? At the lowest end, you're paying like $50, $100 a year for property taxes. On the high end, a few $100. So let's say you got 2 or 3 properties, and you're probably renting them out. Listen, you know what I mean? Like, you can afford to pay the property tax. You can afford to pay property tax 10 years in advance if you want, for crying out loud. So that's the thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's very different. We're in the USA, a lot of you guys are moving out here, even though you own a home, just because you can't afford the property tax, which is insane. So yeah, that's the thing too. You know what I mean? So that's why, there are advantages to buying a home here. Again, so, obviously people ask me, it's like, oh, what are the advantages of buying and selling, buying a home or renting a home? And well, if you buy a home, you don't in there. I'm gonna wait for, yeah, my apologies. I don't know. I think I lost connection there with the internet. Anyways, and so, there's advantages to buying a home, owning a home, and there's advantages to renting a home. Okay, because if you rent a home, again, if you sign the correct contract, you don't got to worry about maintenance. I don't have to worry about maintenance in this home. I had to worry about it in the other home. You follow me? And there's other things that, obviously you got to worry about. Now, another thing, and by the way, I can't believe I went 45 minutes without mentioning this. So another very important thing about renting out here and renting a home in Mexico is the fact that you don't have to worry about the water bill or the light bill or the utility bills. Meaning in the USA, again, I don't know how it is in other countries, but in the USA, whenever you rent a home or rent an apartment or rent anything, you have to set up utilities, and you got to set up those utilities in your name. And so, again, you rent an apartment and you got to go on ahead and set up the power. You got to go on in your name, and you better make sure that you can afford to pay for it, that you don't have some sort of situation with them, right? You got to set up the water bill in your name. You got to set up the internet bill, maybe the TV, anyways, cable, whatever, right? So you got to set everything up in your name. Most of the time, all the time, every single time that you rent a home in Mexico, you do not have to set up the power. You do not have to set up the water bill. Okay, the water bill and the power bill always remain in the owner's name. And so basically what happens is every 2 months, okay, they alternate. Again, every part of Mexico is different, but at least here, they alternate, meaning 1 month you get the water bill, 1 month you get the light bill, the power bill. Okay, but anyways, every 2 months you get a bill, again, every 2 months you get a power bill, every 2 months you get a water bill. Anywho's, once you get that bill, it's obviously in the name of the owner, but it doesn't matter. You get that bill and you use it to pay the internet, or I'm sorry, the water, or sorry, I'm getting distracted by something outside. But anyways, so you get the water bill and you get the phone, they get the water bill and the power bill, and you just pay them. Again, they come in the owner's name, and you just go to the 7-Eleven, the OXXO, you go to the terminal, whatever, and you pay it. All right, and that's it. All right, now let's say that you want to set up a bank account and you're renting a home and you don't have a power bill in your name. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It could be any power bill in anybody's name that has an address, and that address is what's used to set up your bank account. So again, in the case that, let's say you got to set up a bank account, or you got to do some other transaction like immigration, and you need to provide a Mexican address, you provide the Mexican address where you're living. It does not matter that the bill is not in your name. Okay? So again, if you're renting, the power bill and the water bill are in their name, and all you got to do is just make sure to pay it. Again, the water bill is like $5 to $10 a month or less. And the power bill, depending on what part of Mexico you're living in, it could be anywhere from $50 to $100 or $150 a month. Again, out here it gets hotter, and a lot of people use a lot of air conditioner, but mine is around $50 a month. Okay, so around the year, year round, I pay around $50 a month, maybe 75, maybe, but no more than that. Okay, I mean, that's me personally. Okay, and for the water bill, $5 to $10. Now, the only thing I had to set up here, okay, and set up in any home that I rent, again, not always. Sometimes you'll rent a place that comes with internet, okay, that comes with other amenities, okay, like furniture. You might rent a furnished apartment. My first place that I lived in was furnished, okay, and had internet, had everything. But anywho's, in the off chance that they don't provide internet, no problem. That's something you can set up very easily, no problem, okay? And you just set up your internet. In my case, I have Starlink, okay? So I set up Starlink because I just better. All right, and a friend of mine gave me the satellite. All right, so I just set that up, and that's what I use. So you can use Starlink, or you can use the local internet, or whatever you want. It doesn't matter, but you can just set it up, even if you're only here on a tourist permit. Okay, so the only thing you're gonna need to set up is the internet, if you have to set that up. That's it. Okay, and that's about it. I mean, I don't know what else. What other utilities, or what other, I forget, or things that you need to set up. Oh yeah, your cell phone. That's something you set up on your own. It's very easy to set up, and so on and so forth. But anyways, hola, buenos dias, buenas tardes to everybody out there. So again, that's another thing too that a lot of people don't consider or don't know about when it comes to renting in Mexico. The fact that you don't have to worry about setting up any utilities. And the only one utility that you might have to set up, which is the internet, I mean, again, it's easy peasy. They're not even, I don't even think they ask for ID to set up the internet. And if they ask for ID, your passport is enough. Trust me, that's how I did it. So, cat shirt? Who's asking about a cat shirt? Well, with somebody, I don't know. I don't know. Someone's asking. I don't know. I can't find the comments. I don't know. Anyways, sorry. I got distracted by the comment section. But anyways, it's fairly easy, guys. It's very easy to rent out here. The requirements are minimal, if any, at all. And really, the only hurdle that you're going to encounter is depending on what you're going to rent, if you have enough money for the deposits. That's it. And as I mentioned many times before, as José Novelo has mentioned, we highly recommend you sign a contract. Again, if you're renting an apartment, you know, and you're probably just paying month to month, you're probably not going to need a contract. Again, the first place that I rented, okay, I just signed a little paper. I gave him my ID, and I was on month to month. All right, and I was month to month for years. All right, so and you know, he didn't ask me for anything. All right, no, you know, the guy that rented it to me, he was an actual lawyer, and he didn't want no contract, no this, no that. I mean, none of that even came up. Okay, he didn't care. All right, and it was fine, you know, but it was a bachelor pad, you know what I mean, what I was renting, and so it was no problems really. So, and that's it. But that's anyways. I'm just reading a few comments here. But anyways, and by the way, if you guys have any questions, please, you know, ask them away. All right, this is we're gonna take advantage of that. We're talking about real estate today, talking about rentals, and if you have any questions, please ask me. All right. There's a topic that I do want to talk about that somebody left in a comment in one of my videos recently that was talking about like, oh, you got to be careful with the deposits because sometimes or many times or whatever, they won't return the deposits. By the way, yes, that does happen. But again, I don't know, maybe in my experience, because I come from Miami, Florida, that's how it was in Miami, Florida too. You know, anytime that we left a deposit, I never expected to get that returned. So, what most people did in Florida, and this is what most people do out here in Mexico. Again, in this part of Mexico, other parts of Mexico might be different. But what we do is that we just talk to the landlord. Let's say that there's only 2 months left on the lease, all right? And I left 2 deposits. I just talk to the landlord and tell the landlord, hey, listen, I'm leaving in 2 months. I'm not going to renew. I got to go to the U.S. or I'm moving to another place, whatever. So you can keep my 2 deposits. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to pay rent the last 2 months of the lease. And 90% of the time, they're going to be like, yeah, no problem. And you're good to go. And then you can save the money, okay? Those 2 months, the landlord doesn't have to worry about returning anything, okay? If they're worried about the condition of the apartment or the house or whatever, they can take a look at it before you leave. Most likely, they're not going to care, all right? And so that's an agreement that you have to come up with them, and it's going to have to be most likely a verbal agreement, okay? And that's it. And like I said, I know people that have done it here before. I mean, I was going to do it, you know what I mean? But, you know, I had another scenario pop up before I ended up here. And so long story short, that's how most people deal with it. If you are not confident that you're going to get your deposit back, then that's the option that most people use out here. Okay? And this is the reality of it. It's just as simple as that. Now, obviously, you know, if you're dealing with a more professional type of real estate agency or realtor or whatever it is, then, you know, most likely, then yeah, you can probably trust them to return it. But again, just from my own experience, from the way I grew up in Miami, the way I've always, I never expected. In fact, even when I was living in Seattle, they didn't even return my deposit. I'm pretty sure I didn't even get my deposit back. So, you know, it's just one of those things. I've always kind of like lived with that mentality that I'm never going to get my deposit back. And there's ways to get around that. There's ways to deal with that the locals deal with. That's how the locals deal with, okay? So you got to take that into consideration, okay? Just assume that you're not going to get it back, and then just talk to the landlord, let them know the situation, and just say, look, keep the deposit. I'm just going to live the last 2 months. By the way, that's why the deposits are the same amount of rent. You know, just in case also, you know, you don't pay rent for a month or two. And they can just, you know, keep those deposits and then eventually kick your ass out. So, Zerbabble says, quick question. What tips do you have for long-term Airbnb stays? I am moving to Mexico later this year and want to do an Airbnb first so that I don't rush into a lease. Oh, by the way, that's a great question. And that is a great tip, or not a tip, sorry, a great plan. Sorry, there you go. There you go. Bing. A great plan. All right, because that's what I would recommend. You know, I would recommend if you're moving to Mexico, you're coming out to Mexico for the first time, or a new area for the first time, is to rent an Airbnb. swallow that pill, okay? Just to swallow that cost, all right? Anyways, rent the Airbnb in an area that you're most likely, going to be centralized and have easy access to other neighborhoods or a neighborhood you're already interested in, okay? And then use that time that you're there in that Airbnb to find what you're really looking for. You have plenty of time to find what you're looking for. Now, something that can be done out here in Mexico, and that a lot of people do out here in Mexico, is that let's say that you get to an Airbnb and you love the Airbnb and the price is right, or the price is just about right. Guess what? And you get along with the landlord, or you get along with the Airbnb host, right? Well, guess what? What you can do here is you can simply negotiate with them, okay, for an extended stay. So, fairly, so how the conversation will go is simply you talk to the landlord of the Airbnb and you say, hey, I love this place. I would be interested in renting it for 3 months, 6 months, a year, whatever, right? Would you be interested in that? And then the landlord will probably, again, they'll tell you yes or no. Obviously, it depends on the property, right? And depends on how many rentals they get. But many times, if it's just like a regular kind of home that doesn't get Airbnb rentals daily, then guess what? Yeah, they're probably going to be like, yeah, that'd be great. I can have an actual tenant here. And especially if you're asking for just a few months, because the reality is that most Mexicans, the majority of Mexicans, would love to just rent it to you outright and get off the Airbnb platform, just get off the platform altogether, because the platform comes with fees, okay? And those fees, well, you already know, they eat into the profit and they cost you money as well. So most Mexicans, again, if you rent an Airbnb, you like it, you guys get along, everything's wonderful, and you have a conversation with them and you can come to an agreement. Oh yeah, most likely, they'll rent it to you for a lot more cheaper, a lot more affordable than what you were paying on Airbnb. All right. And again, they can save on the fees. They got a good tenant. They got your information from the Airbnb thing already. And you're good to go. You should be able to do that. So a lot of people do that. And you can get like really good prices like that for a really good home. That's the thing too. So you got to look, that's a great option. Now the thing is that sometimes, let's say you talk to the host and you tell them that, and they're like, oh my God, I would love to have you here, but I got somebody that's renting next week, and I got somebody renting the week after, blah, blah, blah. And you'll be like, look, don't worry about it. I'll go rent a hotel or maybe rent another Airbnb for a little bit. And then once they're done, once those bookings are done, I'll come back and I'll live here for the next 3-4 months. So things like that, you got to look into that. So, but yeah, long story short, this is a great, that's a great suggestion and a great tip, and something that I suggest, from time to time when I remember, or when somebody asked a question, like Airbnb, look, I understand it's expensive these days. Look, for example, I used to always love going and doing Airbnb, right? But now, for example, I only do Airbnb depending on where I'm traveling to. So if I'm going to Mexico City, I'm not getting an Airbnb. I'm just getting a hotel. Because out there, I can get a really nice, fancy hotel right in the middle of everything for a lot more affordable, and I don't got to be dealing with a cleaning fee and this and that. So in Mexico City, I'll get a hotel, okay? But when I went to Guadalajara, I wanted to stay in the neighborhood. So we got an Airbnb, and we got a big Airbnb, kind of like a home, like a town home type of thing. And it was great. When I go to the beach, when we go to the beach, let's say we're celebrating our anniversary or celebrating something like that, I'll rent a home on the beach. You follow me? On Airbnb on the beach. I'm not going to rent a hotel. You know what I mean? So it's just things like that. And so obviously, yes, sometimes I got to eat the cost, because it's, I want the Airbnb on the beach. It's going to cost me more money. You know what I mean? But it's fine. That's what I want. But when, let's say I'm going to Mexico City, I just need a room. You know what I'm saying? I don't need, so I'm just going to get, I'm looking for the best bang for my buck. And so that's the thing. And so you'll have to you have to look at, where you're traveling to, what your travel style is, what you need, and depending on those factors, depend on the cost. Because the thing is, at the end of the day, if you're trying to save a few bucks over here, okay, because all of a sudden, like, let's say that you pick a place just to save a few bucks, but it might be further away from the places that you want to be around, then you're going to be paying more money in Ubers or paying time. You're going to take more time to get to that place over and over again. So that's the thing. You got to look into all these factors, before buying, renting, Airbnb, anything, okay? Because, there's all these other things that come into play. So when we were renting in Guadalajara, for example, I made sure that we were close to the train or public transport so that we can use the train or public transport. Granted, when we got to Guadalajara, we were pleasantly surprised that the Ubers were more affordable there than they were in Merida. So we just ended up doing Uber most of the time, and we just took like the train and things like that more out of not convenience. Well, yeah, convenience, but also the experience. We're tourists. We want to check out the train or the mass transit or whatever. So that's the thing. You got to look into so many other factors. It's not just the cheapest rent. So Moondog says, can you rent a house with the possibility of buying it? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. In fact, that's a great question as well. It's another great question. In fact, spoiler alert, for you guys that are watching right now, I got an upcoming video with a home that has the option of rent to buy. Okay, so yes, I'm glad that you brought that up. I'm not going to say any further on the upcoming video, but yes, I'm working on a video with that. Okay, so yeah, that's an option out here. Now, it's not an option with everybody. It's the owner has to be willing to participate in something like this. But like I said, we found a home that has an owner that wants to do this. Again, provided as an option. You know what I mean? Provided as an option. It's not that this is the only way to get the home. But yes, provided as an option. And yes, that's an option out here. It's 100% an option. In fact, a lot of people that can find this kind of option, they do that. They'll leave, they'll pay, they'll leave a fat deposit. And then they'll, let's say the rent is like $10,000, 10,000 pesos. They'll probably be, signing an agreement to pay 15 or 20,000 pesos. So that way that goes towards the remaining balance, and so on and so forth. And again, now that we can provide loans, you can even get a loan for the remaining balance. Or let's say that you want to renovate the home or add a pool or whatever. You know what I mean? So yeah, we got all the options now. So thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Muchas gracias. Thank you. Definitely for my morning coffee, for my morning bread. How's that? My morning pastry to go with my morning coffee, right? Thank you very much. Now I can do my video for tomorrow. By the way, for some of you guys out there that love my live streams, that love my shows and want to see me every day, well, guess what? I have another channel. And if you guys want to go check out the other channel, please feel free. In fact, if you enjoying today's video, if you got any knowledge, any information out of it, you want to help a brother out, go check out my channel. Go check it out. Go subscribe. Maybe, you know what I mean? If you're got a few minutes, watch one of the videos, watch a couple videos. Maybe you like it. Maybe you stick around. That'd be great. That'd be awesome. But anyways, yeah, look, I upload Monday through Friday on the channel, talking about all kinds of awesome things and not so awesome things. Anyways, talking about all kinds of things. Plus, I got other videos on the channel. Plus, I got past live streams. Got a lot of fun and hilarity on the channel. So please, check out my channel. I'll put the link in the chat. The link is also in the description and is also going to be in the comment section. But please show me some love. I'm trying to show you guys as much love as I can. So please, if you want to show me some love, I would love you very much. Thank you very much. And also, if you want to buy a t-shirt, don't forget, I got the links all down below, and check out my website for all kinds of free information and all kinds of other information, meaning if you need to hire somebody to help you with anything, again, I got the whole thing there. If you want to set up a consultation with me, also please check out the website and you can set up a one-on-one conversation with me and we can talk about whatever you need help with. All right. But yeah, guys, you know what I mean? At the end of the day, guys, what was I saying? Thank you for the $2 super chat, which is gracias. Kelly says, is my monthly rent paid in cash? Oh, that is a great question. Wow, see, you guys are asking great questions. Thank you. All right, so is it paid in cash or what was hold on, let me see. Is it paid in cash or a post-dated check? Man, I don't even remember the last time I saw a check. People still use checks? Yeah, no, there's no checks out here, okay? Um, I mean, maybe there are, but I don't think I've seen a Mexican check, now coming to think of it. Or auto withdrawal from the account. Okay, so the question is rent paid in cash or can you pay it digitally, through auto withdrawal or whatever? Now, from my understanding, there's no auto withdrawal. I could be wrong, but there's no auto withdrawal from your bank account because, again, bank accounts work a little different out here. So, I don't feel comfortable with that either. But, again, there's automatic payments, with certain entities out there. So maybe your landlord might have the ability to set something like that up. Now, all landlords, not all landlords, but a majority of landlords do have the ability to set up digital payments. So if you want to pay your rent digitally, meaning, bank transfer, then yeah, you can do that. Now, if you've learned anything from the channel, you know fully well, most Mexicans don't want to pay taxes, don't want to pay fees, don't want to pay anything extra. And I think you guys don't as well. So the majority of Mexicans will always, doesn't matter what you're buying, what you're paying for, what you're doing, they will always prefer cash. So what do? I pay in cash. I always pay in cash. Yeah, sometimes it's a pain in the butt because maybe the exchange rate isn't whatever. Maybe my money didn't get transferred fast enough. Maybe I got to go last minute to the bank to get the money. But you know what? They are very happy. It's, makes it a little easier on me as well, believe it or not. So I personally pay in cash, and the majority of other, foreigners pay in cash, and the majority of Mexicans definitely pay in cash. Now, again, the system that is set up in Mexico, how it works, again, at least out here, is that when you're signing a contract, you also sign the receipts. So, for example, let's say you sign a 1-year lease, 12 months. Okay, you're going to sign 12 receipts ahead of time. And so what happens is that when you got to pay your rent, I'm not paying last month's rent, I'm paying this month's rent. So whenever they come to pick up the rent, I'm paying for this month that I'm going to be living here. Now, the minute that I pay the rent, they also give me back the receipt that I signed. So there's already a paper trail with the contract, with the this, so you're protected. So even if you're paying in cash, you're 1 bazillion% protected, okay? So don't worry about it, okay? It's not like you're paying in cash and, oh my God, no. This is why you signed the contract. Now, again, if you're paying in cash, no contract, no this, okay, you got a problem. Maybe do a digital payment there. But other than that, again, if you get the contract and you got all the protections legally, then yeah, pay cash. It's just easier for everybody, and they're going to love you a lot more. Now, if you really want to pay digitally and your landlord accepts those kind of payments, yeah, you can do it. It's very easy. It's like beep, boop, boop, paid, done. Thank you. Okay? So there's all these options, okay? But cash is preferred. All right? Hopefully that helps answer your question. All right, let me see. If you guys, by the way, if you guys have any more questions, please feel free to ask. Linda Allen says, I love the way you are. Thank you. Coordinating with Alejandra and Jose to be on your team for helping people. God bless you, and thank you so much. Okay, all right. Shout out to you, Linda Allen. Inspirational Pulse says, hey everybody. Oh, hey everybody. All right. User says, do you have to be a Mexican citizen to buy a home or a car? No, you do not. Now, in order to purchase a home, you do not need to even be in Mexico, for crying out loud. Okay, so you can buy a home with a simple tourist permit. Okay, you don't need residency or anything like that. Now, in order to purchase a car, I'm not quite sure. I think that you at the very least need residency, but I could be wrong. You might still be able to purchase a car in cash outright, okay, without having to be a resident, okay? Now, if you want to get a loan for that car, or you want to get a loan in Mexico, then yeah, you definitely need to be a resident, and so on and so forth. But you don't need to be a citizen, that's for sure. So, like I said, you can do it on a tourist permit. Again, people purchase property and homes without even stepping foot in Mexico. So, but when it comes to cars, yeah, depends. I mean, technically, yes, you can buy a car. But again, I don't know how or what you're looking into buying, all right? If you're looking to buying just a used car, yeah, you're good to go. But the thing is that you got to register the car at some point. So if you're going to register the car, you do need to be a resident. So yes, you do need to be a resident to have a car in your name. Make sense? Yeah, you do, because of the... I forgot, because I had the same issue. So yes, you do need to you need to be a resident to register a car. So in order to own a car, you need to... Now, can you drive a car without being a resident? Yes, you can. All you need is a foreign driver's license. You can even rent a car. I'm not talking about renting it from Alamo or Enterprise. I'm talking about, let's say that a Mexican out here, and he has a car, any car, and he wants to rent you that car. Yeah, you can rent the car. If you get stopped by the police, you got all the paperwork, and here's the owner. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can call the owner. I'm renting the car. It's not an issue like in the USA. In the USA, you know how it is. If you're not driving your own car, you got a problem. But out here, somebody can let you borrow their car, all right? And you can drive it with a foreign driver's license, and you can pay them a rental fee, okay? So that's a thing too as well. So hopefully that helps answer your question. Oh, there you go. All right. So there you go. So yeah. And so what is your corp? Because East Channel. Don't hate me, bro. I love you. Or hate me. Don't hate me out there. Anyways, East Channel says you need your corp. Okay, so what is your corp? Your corp is your social security number, your Mexican social security identification. And you get that when you get your residency. Okay? So, but that's it though. When it comes to that, that's pretty straightforward though. So hopefully that helps. Anyways, yeah, sorry, I was just getting a message from my friend there. Oh, thank you, Moondog, for the $5 super chat. Mucho appreciated. Thank you. That's very nice of you. Bruh. Anyways, thank you. Appreciate that. Oh man, I'm sorry, bro. Man, anyways, hold on a second. Let me see. Isai. I think that's like, I'm just mispronouncing, because they're Isai channel. Did I say it right? Isai? I think I said it right this time. Isai. And if I didn't, I promise I will never say it ever again. Anyways. Bruh. Anyway, shout out to everyone out there. I really appreciate all the love. Thank you for all the thumbs ups. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the show today, getting some information out of today's show. But by the way, guys, yeah, again, if you guys have any questions, any more comments, anything, let me know, and I'll be more than happy to help you answer it. Manita arriba, dude. All right. So hopefully I did get it right. Anyway, my English not so good sometimes. My Spanish not so good sometimes either. Nothing so good sometimes, okay? Sometimes, how about this? Like, I'll leave it with this one. Hold on, my I don't know if you guys remember this meme.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
I'm trying my hardest. Anyways, but yeah, as I was saying, guys, oh yes, happy Easter belated to everybody out there. But again, guys, by the way, if you want to see more hilarity, you want to see more insanity, and this channel is not enough for you, please check out my other channel. Again, on my other channel, I upload videos every Monday through Friday. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I upload a video, all right? And As you guys can guess, we have a different topic every day. Basically, I just sit in my garden, have some coffee, have a conversation with you guys about whatever's on my mind, and that's what we do. So hopefully, if you guys enjoy my content already here on this channel and enjoy my way of thinking and talking and all that stuff, and you want to see more, please go join me over there on my other channel. I would love you very much. Again, if you enjoyed or got anything out of today's video or live stream, please go check me out over there. Maybe watch a video, maybe watch two, and so on and so forth. And again, the channel's growing. I'm so happy. A lot of you guys have been showing me a lot of love over there, and let's just keep it going. Let's continue, to grow it over there. And again, it might not be for everybody. All right, I understand that we're living in some polarizing times these days, and not everybody might agree or be happy with everything I have to say over there. But honestly, as the world keeps getting crazier, it seems like more and more you guys are finally enjoying my content over there. So please, by the way, I also do live streams on that channel, and you can go back. That channel's been around for a while. If you want to know more about me, go deeper on me. All right, and my life, you can go check out that channel, and you can see the live streams and when I went through story time and all that stuff, and I get to you get to see more about me and my life and my past and everything like that. Oh, there you go. Another question, another great question that has this one has nothing to do with the topic, but we'll answer it anyway. Marco is mental says. No, Marco says, are there any gentlemen's clubs over there? Yes, there are. There's gentlemen's clubs all over Mexico. In fact, ladies of the night are legal out here. Okay, it's a different scenario than in the USA. So those services are legal here in Mexico. And yes, there are tons of gentlemen's clubs out here. The thing is, it's funny because a lot of friends have asked me through the years, my guy friends, about that. And by the way, if you know my past, know my history, I'm well versed. Okay, I'm from Miami, all right. I'm well versed on gentlemen's clubs, right? But with that being said, I never went to one out here. I never even had interest in that. I never had interest in even, paying for whatever. And I'm gonna tell you why. Simply because of how life is like out here, when it came to love, or finding some fun, it was very easy to make friends out here, if you know what I'm saying. And so with that said, I just never had the need or the desire or the want to go spend my money there, waste my money there at any one of these places. So, some guys, they still go to those things because they might not have the best of luck, or, they're just really horny dudes. I don't know. By the way, they got women's clubs as well. They got gay clubs. They got everything. Okay, they're very open in Mexico. Okay, there's a lot of gay clubs out here. I'll tell you that. Because Christian has a lot of gay friends, and anyway, so they got drag shows. They got everything you want. Okay, but anyways, all I'm saying is that if you're into that, you can find it out here for sure. It's a thing out here. It's not a big thing, but the reality is that if you're just a regular normal guy that has the ability to talk to women, why would you, again, unless you're a super horny guy, I get it. I have a lot of male friends. I understand we're not all the same and we're not all the same age. But with that being said, really, there's no need for those, but they're available. They have them, So yeah, hopefully that helps answer your question. Let me see. Any more questions, any more topics, anything to talk about here? Let me see. I'm going through the chat to see if I find anything else there. Was somebody asking for a cat shirt? I got Gizmo. I got a dog. So I don't know. I wouldn't, what is it? I wouldn't make a cat shirt. Doesn't really, I don't have any cats out here. So I think that's it, man. I got no more questions coming in. It's in fact, the chat right now, this is like, here, let's get a live audio from the chat. Okay. So, since the chat's all done, can Americans work in Mexico? Yes, they can. Yes, they can. In fact, you can go to my channel. This is a great segue to get out of here. So, here, this is what we're going to do. So, if you want to find any video on my channel about any topic, you can do so very easily. So you go to my channel, all right, and then right over here, you see where it says search right here. See it? I'm pointing at it. All right, where it says search, you type in whatever. So right now, Jesse is asking me about jobs, so we'll put job, enter. Look at that. I got a bunch of videos. Now, I highly suggest you watch the first one, okay? How to find a job, working in Mexico, how to earn money. Okay? So you can go on ahead and do that. Also, on my website for free. Oh, sorry, I moved the microphone here. Anyways, on my website for free, all the way at the top, right next to the merch store. So, while you're looking at t-shirts, looking to buy one, right? To help support the show. Buy a t-shirt. I'm starving. All right, hey, relax. But anyways, while you got the mouse all the way up there next to the merch store. Well, guess what? I got another link that says Digital Nomad Jobs. Some of you guys out there, you need money to buy a t-shirt. You need a job, don't you? So there you go. I'm telling you, man. I give it all. I don't know what else I can do. I mean, I can't hold your hands. But anyways, even if if you're broke and you can't buy a shirt, I can get you a job so that you can buy my shirts. I'm sorry. I'm the worst. I know. I get it.
Bruh.
But anyways, as you guys can see there, you know what I mean? I got English teaching jobs. Okay. I got Mexican jobs in Mexico, meaning that this is like Craigslist or, fucking, sorry. Oh, sorry. Pardon my French there. What's that place called? LinkedIn, like LinkedIn or whatever. Okay. Anyways, also freelance jobs. If you're a freelancer, I don't know what your skills are out there. Transcripts. Now, you say you're a bartender. Listen, yeah, you can get a job out here, but you're going to be getting paid Mexican wages. All right. Now, granted, yeah, you'll get tips. I used to be in the restaurant industry, so I'm fully well versed, but they're going to be Mexican tips. So, look, long story short, it might not be for everybody. All right. You might want to be a bartender out here, but when you start getting paid, you might be thinking, maybe I can teach English for $10 an hour. Maybe I can make some more money doing that. So, you got to get creative with that. All right. Now, again, if you're going to get a bartending job here where I live, you're probably not going to get paid much. If you go to Cancun, maybe you can get paid more. I don't know. All right. But that's something that you have to look for yourself. And guess what? Guess what? I have the links there. Look, I'll give you right here. Go to Glassdoor or Flex Jobs or, whatever. Indeed. All right. And then Empleos or wait right here. I don't want to sign up, man. Anyways, whatever, man. You just go up, you just figure it out. All right, let's go to the other site. Forget it. Jeez, man. Hey, I used to sign up for everything these days. All right, we'll do it here. Okay, so bartender. It's the same thing, okay? And if you don't know how to say bartender in Spanish, go to Google and translate. Okay, my name is bartender. Look at this right there. Boom. Okay, what city? I don't know. Let's just, you know what? Let's go to Mexico City, all right? Because that's probably a place you can get a high paying job. Probably. I'm not saying that it's a thing. And look at that. So you got bartender right there, Mexico City, and you can get around $15,000 to $22,000. I mean, pesos a month. So that's basically $750 to $1,000 a month. Now, again, this is probably assuming that's what you're going to be making in tips. Okay. So, by the way, you don't have to screenshot anything. All the links are here. You can watch this video later. You don't have to do all that. Okay. You can literally just click on all the links, okay? All the information is provided, all right? This video will stay remaining live. Here, I'll give you the link to the Digital Nomad jobs. All right? Come on, man. Come on, man. All right? So anyways, all right? Long story short, you got to do some work, all right? Now, look, this is I'm more realistic. This isn't Condesa, all right? So, all right, is it? Yeah, so this is like a fancy neighborhood, and look at that. So 500 to 750 a month. So look, this is the again, these are the reality checks that a lot of you guys look at this one. Look, 10. So again, this is like 500 a month, 600 a month, 700 a month. All right. So just, a little reality check. All right. So when you can make a lot more, working 10, we're just teaching English at $10 an hour. All right, because you'll be making say 40 and 40. That's eight. Was it 800? Yeah, you can make 1,500 easy, 40 hours a week. So just to keep an eye out, All right, but anywho's. So hopefully that helps answer your question. But yeah, at the end of the day, I got all the videos, man. I got all the information here on the channel. Again, just check out the video. All right, I'll link this video here in the chat. Make it as easy for you. I'm gonna do your job for you.
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome.
Obviously,
back.
I can see why you need a job. I'm just kidding. I'm busting your balls, anyways. So I'm gonna do your job for you. Anyways, there's the video, and in that video, all right, like I said, I go into detail. All right, you got the intro. High level skill, high skill careers. How to find the job. Teaching English. How I did it. How to start a small business, yada, yada, yada. All right. Look at that. We got Mingo bought some chickens and he's selling eggs for a living. See? Entrepreneur. He knows what's up. He's I'm sure he was making a killing back when eggs were like how much? Like was it like $15 for a dozen? mm. So I think that's it. Didn't hear the okay, no worries. But yeah, I got all the links. Okay, like I said, and you can just check out my website. On my website, you can find all the links. Okay. And down below in the description, I got all the links. By the way, you must be new here. Welcome. Shout out to you. Welcome aboard. Sorry, I like to bust some balls sometimes. We like to keep it lighthearted here. But yeah, like I said, so you can just simply check on my channel. You can simply check on my website. But I got all the information out there for you guys to make it happen. Okay. So yeah, by the way, the reason I'm a ball buster and I am the way I am is because that's how Mexicans are out here. Okay. So if if you're having trouble handling me, you might have trouble handling Mexicans. Mexicans are, they're very fun to be around with. They're always joking around, they're always, effing around, all that stuff. So, for some of you guys, it's a welcome change. Some of you guys, you love it. You love that kind of, but now I know it's not for everybody. So my apologies. I don't know who you are out there. Sorry, Jesse. Wasn't trying to pick on you or anything, or anyone else out there. You guys already know what's up. But yeah, that's it. Yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, they will hire Americans. I'm just reading what you were typing. Yeah. They will hire Americans. In fact. So there's another great segue. A lot of you guys are always worried. By the way, I'm glad I don't hear this as much anymore these days because I'm finally, you guys are finally listening that there are other solutions out there. But anyways, a lot of you guys are always just worried about, oh my God, I can't move to Mexico because I'm never going to be able to afford getting residency and I can't get residency. They're asking for too much and the residency is too much. Long story short, for a lot of you guys out there, especially the younger ones like us, you can simply get residency. Look, like that, faster than I can snap my fat fingers. All right, full of grease here. Simply put, by just getting a job. If you get a job, believe it or not, you know what I mean. Like you get a work visa or a work permit, and then you get residency. That's a way. All right, that's one of the ways that a lot of people are getting their residency is by getting a job. So again, for Jesse, he might get paid a few hundred more bucks, working online. But if he's actually able to land a job, in Mexico and maybe take the financial hit, or maybe not, maybe he makes more. But anyways, but just gets a job, then all of a sudden, their job will sponsor them for no problem, for them to, because the thing is that the job, wants to make sure you're legal. And all they got to do is just sign a paper that says you're working there and you get your work permit and you're good to go. So, oh, look at that. Sparkle Flores with a $10 super chat. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I really, really appreciate that. That's very, very nice of you. Muchas gracias. Hello, everyone. I love this channel. I wait patiently for the live streams. Oh, thank you so much. And I really appreciate that because I know sometimes I'm a little late, but thank you. Thank you. Muchas gracias. Glad that you are enjoying and always enjoy the videos. We got Ingrid from Jamaica. Shout out to Ingrid. Oh, we got Jesse, who's a girl. Yeah, that's probably going to help a lot too. All right. I don't got to tell you nothing. All right. So, Yeah, all right, Jesse, you know what's up. You know what I mean? Like, long story short, remember, I mean, like, for you probably don't know me, but my past, I was in the restaurant industry, and that was my whole career forever. So you already know how it works out here. You know what I mean? Like, if you're a sexy mom bartender, and you're out there in Cancun, and you might have a lot of boomers, out there. Yeah, listen, man, you already know what's up. Okay, so yeah, go and investigate, and you're probably gonna have to know some Spanish, you know what I mean, to obviously kind of get around or whatever when it comes to that. But look, long story short, you know what I mean, like, yeah, you know what I mean, because think about it, you know what I mean, you're an American bartender, and there's also Mexican tourists there, and they want American mamacita, you know what I'm saying, to give them their drinks. I mean, come on. So you already know what's up. You can definitely make some money out here. But you gotta get that right job. It's not like any bartending job, as you know. All right. So, but yeah, for sure. You know what I mean? And by the way, I don't want to just say Cancun. You can go to Puerto Vallarta, Acapulco. There's a bunch of other places. Probably La Paz, or somewhere in Baja California. There are many areas. Okay, so not just Cancun. And I say Cancun because I'm like a stone's throw away from Cancun. I live like 3 4 hours from there. So, but yeah, but if you're gonna try to do a bartending job here in this city, probably not. It's not. You're gonna. Yeah, it's not. It's not gonna. It's very different. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So you already know. If you want to make that money, you already know what you got to do to make that money as a bartender out here. So, or anywhere really. All right. So, but yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. Any other questions? Any other comments? Anything else? We've how long? Oh wow, an hour and a half. Yeah, today went by fairly quickly. Wow. I'm glad. Well, hopefully you guys have been enjoying the show so far. Let's keep walking down the street here. So, but thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much for all the love and support. I really appreciate it. Again, if you want more information, just check out my website. On my website, again, I got tons of free information. Whether you're moving or coming to visit Merida, Yucatan, or you're moving to Mexico in general, I got tons of information. Everything from finding a job, finding a rental. If you need personal help, again, if you need someone like Alejandra, to help you out, with again, concierge services. Let's say you need someone to pick you up at the airport, someone to help you find a rental, someone to help you translate, maybe go to the doctor, get some medicine, whatever. Okay, whatever you need, she can help you. Again, we got Jose Novelo. He's a lawyer. He can help you with contracts. You want to buy a home, whatever it is you want to do. He's a real estate agent. Him and his team. And again, speaking of teams, we're building a huge team here that we have been building through the years. And as I've been telling you guys all year, this year, we're going full throttle, up against the wall here, balls to the wall, as they say, meaning no viewer left behind. Again, this year has already been crazy, and it just keeps getting more insane out there in the real world. And while a lot of people are looking for, a way to get out of that insanity. So, obviously, we're focusing on no viewer left behind. And so this is why, that's it. Even though in the past, I was a little bit more apprehensive, about doing certain things. This year I decided I can't. You know what I mean? I got to help everyone as much as I can. I can't help everybody. Again, everybody on the audience has to put their part and do their part. But long story short, anyone that's willing to get helped and do the work themselves, oh man, I got all the information, I got all the knowledge, I got everything for free. For free. All right. Now, if you need extra help, all right, and you want to pay for that extra help, then again, I also provide that for you. Again, whether it's with Alejandra or Jose Novelo, or if you want to have a one-on-one conversation with me. Let's say you don't want to look through all my videos, you just want to ask me the questions and get the answers like this. You can do that as well. And again, even if you just want to, you let's say you already got all the information, you already got all the knowledge for free from me, and you want to help pay it forward, you want to help pay. How do I say this? You want to help others out there in the audience that have not made it out here yet. Again, you can do so by sending a donation, or you can buy a T-shirt. There's many ways that you can help the show, in order to, again, continue keeping the lights on, so that we can help you out there in the audience. Make it to paradise. Because I know a lot of you guys are, looking to get the hell out of Dodge these days more than ever. All right, so We're trying our best here. All right. No viewer left behind. But anyways, as you guys can see, I got some new shirts up on the store. Some of the shirts that you see me wear, all the time. So again, if you guys want to wear what I wear when I'm doing some videos, please, check out my site. Again, we got the Mayan alphabet. We got the Truth is Outside Alien. We got my bicycle. We got the doodles that I did. And so many other shirts and so on and so forth. So again, this is a great, fun way to help support the show. And then if you can't help support the show, don't worry about it. At the very least, you can hit the subscribe button, right? You can hit the like button, maybe share it with a friend, even an enemy, whatever. I don't care who sees it. All right. But, there's many ways you can help the show if you want to. And if you don't worry about it. I really appreciate you just hanging out with me and watching the show and all that good stuff. And I want to thank all of you guys out there, okay, for again, not just sticking with me today through the whole show, but sticking with me for as long as you have. Some of you guys have been around for, a few weeks, a few days, a few months. Some of you guys have been around for years. And again, I just want to humbly thank you all, for all the love and support throughout the years. And that's it. It makes me happy that I've been able to help so many people out. And it makes me even happier that, again, we continue to help people out. In fact, we're helping more people out these days than we ever have. Again, and I couldn't do it alone. Again, me, Jose, Alejandra, and others. Shout out to all of them and the rest of the team. All right. Even Lambo. Hey, when you come over here, make sure you bring me a beer. All right. So, even Lambo's appreciative. All right. Even though he's out there asking for a beer. But, anyways, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Really hope you guys enjoyed today's video, content, and everything in between. And thanks again for hanging out with me today. And I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you guys here on Sunday. By the way, on Sunday, we got a special video coming up. All right. Another video showing you guys community out here so you guys can see what life is like out here, what you guys can do when you're living out here. All right. So another community building activity. All right. That I was a part of and I want to show you guys. So on Sunday, we got that coming up. And then on Tuesday, we got another real estate video coming up. And then on Thursday, we got another live stream coming up. And then and so on and so forth. So again, every Tuesday, every Sunday, every Tuesday, I upload a video, and every Thursday I go live. And again, if that's not enough, Jose, for you, and you want to see me daily, then you can simply just go to my other channel. And on my other channel, I upload Monday through Friday. I just sit in my backyard, drink some coffee, and have a conversation. And well, you guys are loving that so as well. So please join me over there if you haven't already. And for everyone that has joined me over there already, thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. And with all that being said, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Jesse says the super chat won't let me send. Oh, don't worry, don't worry. If you can't send something now, you can send it another time, or you can again on my website if you want to use PayPal, Cash App, or whatever. But again, it's not needed. Again, I really trust me. I really appreciate every dollar you guys send and every all the help that you guys send, because honestly, again, I wouldn't be able to do any of this without you. Okay. But with that said, again, if you guys know my story, some of you guys do know my story. I came out here 8 years ago with $1,500 left to my name. Nothing. All right. Zip, zilch. All right. And long story short, the reason I started doing videos to begin with was only because there was no information out there. And I was just trying to pay for it and help others like me, all right, that were eventually going to move to Mexico with not much. And this is why I do everything free. And anyone out there that can send something or again, help, keep the lights on and keep the show going, man, it's greatly appreciated. And, we all love you together, for helping the show. But, at the end of the day, I mean, I do it more for attention. All right. I'll leave it at there. Right. Like I've said before, my mommy didn't give me enough attention as a little kid. So unfortunately, now I gotta, seek attention elsewhere. So, I do this more for me than I do it for you guys. No, but yeah, I mean, me, I can't shut my mouth when I'm speaking the truth. But look, the reality is that, yeah, I do this for myself, but it's only because in the sense that I get a lot out of helping people. It really makes me feel good for giving instead of receiving. Okay. And again, you guys show me a lot of love. So I like to show you guys as much love as I can. And it's again, it's a mutual thing that we have going on here. And I love you guys and I appreciate you guys. I really do. Because again, I've said it before and I keep saying it again. I wouldn't be able to do any of this without you guys. All right. I'd be working in the kitchens. All right. Just like I did my whole career if it wasn't for you guys. And again, thank you so much, for allowing me to do this. And I'm glad that I'm able to help you guys with everything. And the last question somebody's asking me is like, did I get permanent residency? Yeah, I've been a permanent residency for permanent resident for years. In fact, I need to become a citizen already. All right. But as you know, all that costs money. So as soon as we get the money, I'll be able to get my Mexican citizenship. So one step at a time, one day at a time. So, anyways, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And by the way, if people want to know more on how to help the show, again, just go to my website all the way at the top where it says support the show. You can click there and you can get all the links. Okay. PayPal, Cash App, you can buy me a coffee, Patreon, you can even buy a shirt. Okay. And that's it. But anyways, thank you guys. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Um, and yeah, by the way, I apologize if the YouTube thing doesn't work sometimes. Sometimes that happens. This is why I have other options. Okay. So my apologies. I can't, what I mean? I can't control everything. All right. Yeah. If I controlled those money moving apps, you know, I wouldn't be asking for money. All right. So I'll leave it at that. I wouldn't be selling crappy t-shirts. All right. By the way, these are great t-shirts. You guys have told me that you guys have told me these are great t-shirts and you love them and great material. And I love them too. I mean, this is a shirt that I purchased myself. All right. So, all right. I gotta go. I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for all the love and support. And you already know the deal. If you like this kind of content and you want to see more of it, please check out my other channels. Please check out the rest of the channel. But more importantly than anything else, again, please like, please subscribe, please share. But more importantly than anything else, the most important thing is please continue to stay awesome. Thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you so much for watching. Love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.